Paul's California mansion has been raided by the FBI, multiple news organizations report. You can see in this aerial footage agents in uniform outside his home in California.
When names like Anthony Joshua come up, it's not just about one fight, it's an idea. It's what happens when a fighter steps out of controlled environments and faces someone who can't be scripted, negotiated with, or softened by contracts. Because at the elite level, no amount of marketing can hide cracks forever.
Paul's attorney says he was out of state and not at his Calabasas home during that raid today. The FBI says they're investigating allegations of criminal acts for an incident that he's known.
The story's volatility is what hooks viewers. Every accusation sparks another clip, interview, denial, or meltdown, creating a feedback loop where doubt becomes entertainment, and controversy itself drives clicks, debates, and endless chatter across boxing and MMA media. From a pure engagement angle, it works perfectly. Fear, scandal, authority figures, unanswered questions, it all keeps fans leaning forward, waiting for the next revelation that might confirm suspicions or completely flip the script.
Because of the weight difference in there, I only know one man that'll do the weight difference like that, and that's the Bronze Bomber. For me, in my opinion, I think it's scripted a little bit because, of the weight difference, and Joshua is a former champion, and also he's current, he's active. This is going to be the first time that we see Paul fighting an active fighter. We seen the Mike Tyson, that was all fun, that was cute, it's fun and games and stuff, but now you're dealing with a real professional.
At its core, this isn't just about Jake Paul, it's about a culture clash. Traditional combat sports values versus influencer-era promotion, where optics, control, and virality sometimes outweigh brutal honesty in the ring. Whether Jake can shake this credibility shadow isn't about clapbacks, it's about choices. Future fights that favor risk over safety, transparency over spectacle, and pure competition over showmanship could shift perception. Repeat old patterns, and the audience decides the illusion was never real.
Hours, there's been some reports about an apparent leaked script. Have you seen this?
Move on. If people think that he's going to do a quick two-step and do this, and this, I hope he just goes out and takes his head clean off with the first punch and lets him know Tommy Fury actually is. There's one interview, and I'm going to name it now, Lyndon Arthur, absolute fantastic, that man. I don't read that much on social media because it's all bullshit, but Lyndon Arthur, thank you very much. From me to you, you said something about Tommy being a proper fighter, can really punch, one of the hardest punches he's been in. Now for Lyndon Arthur to go and say that, Lyndon Arthur's a proper hard, tough man, we all know that. So Lyndon, respect, thank you.
The moment the conversation shifted wasn't a single punch. It was fans realizing that spectacle, branding, and selective matchmaking were slowly replacing competitive purity. When names like Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, Oscar De La Hoya, Dana White, and Michael Bisping entered the discussion, Paul started being seen less as a fighter and more as a symbol of an engineered era, where narratives are sold harder than merit.
At any point, did you start to take your foot off the gas just a little bit because you noticed he was tiring out?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a bit. I wanted to give the fans a show, but I didn't want to hurt someone that didn't need to be hurt.
Did you carry Mike?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, there was a point where, I was just like, okay, he's not really engaging back. And so I don't know if he's tired or whatever. And I could just tell, his age was showing a little bit. And I just have so much respect for him. And that violence war thing between us, after he slapped me, I wanted to, be aggressive and take him down and knock him out and all that stuff. But that kind of went away as the rounds went on.
In post-fight pressers, it's clear, real reckonings in combat sports are rarely tidy. Paul's rise wasn't just wins or losses. It was about how those wins were framed, defended, and amplified. Fans began questioning, are these real fights or content disguised as combat? Accusations of rigged bouts didn't appear out of nowhere. Wilder openly questioned Paul's fights. De La Hoya echoed what insiders whispered. Even casual fans noticed patterns: glove sizes, round lengths, opponent selection. It all felt closer to exhibitions than professional boxing's unforgiving reality.
On performance-enhancing drugs.
If taking Viagra counts, then yes.
I'm gonna need a yes or a no.
No.
That's true.
The skepticism peaked when Paul admitted to easing off in certain moments. Alone, it sounds sportsmanlike, but in elite boxing, managing danger for your opponent raises red flags. Online, this fed the narrative that some fights were paced for optics, not pure competition. Drug testing controversies amplified it. Dana White's public challenge demanded transparency, but the absence of independently verified results left space for speculation, fueling theories about physical changes, anti-doping compliance, and insider commentary that refused to fade.
Stated that I use cocaine. I do not. So I told you, you could randomly cocaine test me for the next 10 years. I believe that you're a cheater, and I believe that you use steroids. So I want to randomly steroid test you for the next 2 years. And that thing that you came out with today, nobody on earth thinks that you really wrote that. You're too stupid.
Voices like Dylan Dennis, medical experts, and social commentators added heat, not because allegations proved anything, but because the growing chorus made denial feel weaker than disclosure. MVP's legal-heavy responses backfired in fight culture, where transparency earns respect. Threatening lawsuits signals protection of image, not organic accountability. Fans read that loud and clear.
I brought it up, wants to do testing. And he wants to do a set date before the fight, okay? So he did the cycle, he did whatever, and now he's gonna try to take a piss test and clear it and be like, oh, I'm clean. That doesn't count, okay? It doesn't count. With the money that he has, you can have a doctor clean your system in over 24 hours. Cheeto Vera just went on that podcast and said, you know that. So him doing this is another scam that he does. He's a bullshit artist. He just lies. Everybody knows he's on juice. He's admitted taking peptides. There's doctors that have him in the office saying we're giving him peptides on their website. So like, it's just bullshit. And I don't care about the steroids thing. It's just like, what are we doing here? He has every advantage. He gets to pick the refs. He gets to pick the fucking judge. It's like, come on.
Dennis, with his history with Paul, posted photos. Bisping's calm critique cut deeper, pointing out Paul's opponents are often retired, aging, or celebrity adjacent. His one bout against a peer-level boxer, Tommy Fury, ended in defeat, anchoring critics who argue legitimacy requires consistently facing hungry, prime professionals.
There has never once in Jake Paul's career been any talk of that sort, of anything to do with the fight being anything but a real fight that has exactly the same situation as any professional fight. And that's exactly the same thing here for the Anthony Joshua fight. It's just beyond mind-blowing that people would think that. Anthony Joshua was on record saying that if he didn't finish him in the first round, that would be disappointing, that it would be a failure. The narrative changed as we got closer to fight night and obviously post-fight, and I understand why, but they were pretty adamant it would take max 2 rounds to.
Then came the FBI raid narrative. Even without charges, repeated proximity to controversy shapes public perception. In a world where reputation is as vital as record, every headline stacks on the idea that chaos follows Paul wherever spectacle is being monetized.
In the public eye, but today, YouTube star Jake Paul is making headlines after an FBI raid at his home in Calabasas. Sky 5 was over the scene Wednesday morning as federal agents entered Paul's home in a gated community off Mulholland Highway. 24 feds, some in tactical gear, could be seen carrying evidence from the property, including several firearms. After the search, a SWAT team was seen leaving in a procession of law.
The underlying argument isn't that every fight was fake or every accusation true. It's that Paul's career is meticulously engineered. Opponent choice, promotional framing, everything builds an environment where fans feel authenticity without the evidence to prove it. For Anthony Joshua, healing doesn't follow court timelines. Gerald Miller's emotional reaction reminds us grief and mortality reshape lives instantly. Fans watching are part of the narrative. They fuel it with clicks, comments, and outrage. Voices like Johnny Nelson remind us, behind the headlines are humans surviving unimaginable moments. Joshua's future in the ring matters, but his life outside it matters more. Boxing culture must reckon with consequences. Eddie Hearn and Tyson Fury push for accountability. This isn't about heroes or villains, it's about understanding the cost of spectacle. When headlines fade, Joshua is left with memory as his fiercest opponent. Paul's name may define a public image of recklessness, and reversing that takes humility fame rarely teaches. Fans saw celebration turn to mourning overnight. Carl Froch's frustration echoes a broader exhaustion. How far can entertainment push before it collides with reality in ways that can't be undone?